next story we've got here is mapped, talking about the rise of voluntary carbon markets. And this is, I know our friends Seb Solomon, Ali Alexandra have talked about this, and of course Whitney Webb has covered this to no end. But growing ecosystem of banks, businesses, and initiatives have sprung up around this revamped market as major companies bank on carbon offsets becoming credible and profitable once more. Where's this coming from? Let me guess. World Economic Forum stuff? Net zero.
No.
So, there are net zero pensions and net zero fuels, even net zero mobile networks. Some companies say they'll decarbonize by 2040, others as early as this year. Some of the big Fortune 500s, there are very real concerns over how they're going to meet those goals. So now they're turning to voluntary carbon markets to offset their emissions. Again, this is like paying an extra tax or buying credits to pollute, I guess.
Yep.
BCMs allow companies and individuals to offset their greenhouse gas emissions on a voluntary basis outside of mandatory schemes. Really? I like fairy dust and unicorns too. Companies are just going to voluntarily give up that money. Well, and here's exactly.
This turns into.
What did I tell you?
This turns into This turns into
Bammo.
One. All the businesses at the bottom have to deal with it. That on top of it essentially just allows the ones who are already doing all the problems to get away with it still, because they're the one with the money, the people that can throw away that kind of money until they, run the spaceship that we're all on into the ground.
Well, this is it. This is the spaceship right here. Look at the connections. Look at the ties. You've got certain people.
Economic Forum,
McKinsey, IIF, and the global banks, Treasury. This is somewhere is the IMF also, probably, I'm guessing, in there. But yeah, so they are the task force. Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of England, who launched it last year, set up with Bill Winters, chief executive, Standard Chartered Bank. So again, this is going to be like some of the monstrous, evil people that have profited and made hundreds of billions of dollars off, or at least hundreds of millions in salary and stock options and personal wealth. And now they're going to use that personal wealth to gain the influence to be able to pollute the entire planet. Thank you so much. And, oh yeah, we're just going to charge you a little bit of a tax. Again, international greenwashing exercise. Yep. Task force initial recommendations have been met with hostility. It could become an international greenwashing exercise, through polluters using cheap offsets to avoid cutting emissions.
Yeah.
That's the exact idea. So this is a UK story, obviously. Task Force on Scaling Voluntary Carbon Markets. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi Sunak, has said little publicly about the Treasury's involvement in these initiatives, though both he and the Treasury have played some part in their creation. Interesting. Treasury also gave seed funding to the Green Finance Initiative. So again, this article is really long and in-depth, and you can see from the amount of scrolling that I still have left to do on the right, maybe you can't see that. It's cut off. So I highly recommend, I'll drop the link to the chat, the link in the description, and brief, actually, if you can get into Google Drive, you can show them from the chat. Where this is. This is on DeSmog. This was published on November 2nd. And this was Ashley Lampard from DeSmog. Excellent article. Really goes in depth. Again, it puts the network and the web together and shows how this whole thing is interconnected to feed profits from one venture to the other, sucking it out from us and distributing it around amongst that network. And it never really bounces out. The Climate Pledge Fund has put $2 billion to invest in sustainable technologies and market infrastructure to ensure high-quality projects. So they're going to get to dictate and determine all that. Hey, we got a new subscriber or follower. Thank you for following whoever that was. So Seymour's conducted research writing on forest and governance issues, advised WRI leadership on major initiatives, Global Forest Watch, Global Restoration Initiative, all these non-profit, quote-unquote, organizations, which, while they do some good, they're basically going to be havens for billionaires to park their cash. You can turn up on cam.
Oh, well, I just had it on there, a little mini version.
Yeah. So again, this is on the heels of COP26, which was the other article that we're going to talk about next, because that was, of course, the other big story with regard to environmentalism and climate and everything happening this week. And of course, that's mostly run by the heavies and the big corporations, and that's basically theater for everybody else, because we know that a lot of this is determined by what's going on in the World Economic Forum and by people that aren't going to be sitting at COP26. So,
what?
Yeah, what?
Shut up.
Yeah, we're not supposed to talk about that, I know.
Well, you better get hip to indie left. Indie left. Indieleft.news.